Hey everybody, today I'm talking about Targi, which is a 2012 release card game designed by Andreas Steiger and published by Cosmos. This one is a strictly two-player only game, and it's a worker placement game where you're trying to get as many victory points as you can by the end of the game. So the board or the game state is going to look like this. We have this grid of cards. You've got these outer cards which are always going to remain the same from or throughout the game. But the inner 9 cards are going to change as the game goes on. So you're going to have, as I said, it's going to be a two-player game. You've got the blue player and you've got the white player. And you are going to take turns, and depending on who's the first player, in order to deploy your workers onto the outer rim of this board. Now, at any time during the game, there is going to be the kind of dummy piece here that goes around the outside and blocks certain spaces off as the game goes on. So in the first round, it's going to block off this noble card, and in the next round, it's going to block off this one, and so on. So let's talk about how the game actually plays out. So as I said, you're going to take turns deploying your workers onto the outer rim of this grid. So let's say, for example, the white player places their first one onto here, then the blue player might place it onto here, and then the white one might go onto here, and the blue one onto here, and so on. You have to respect the fact that you can never go opposite where your opponent is. So say, the blue player's here, the white player couldn't go here, for example. However, they could go here. And then the final piece is going to basically be pretty limited on where it can go. So for example, it could go here. Okay, so once that's done, you're going to start evaluating all the different spaces. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the 2 markers that you've got left in your supply, and you're going to put them in the places where your worker pieces kind of cross over. So, if you've got this worker here and this worker here, so it crosses over here. And the other white marker would go here because, again, this axis and this axis will cross on that spot. And the same is going to apply for the blue player. And once that's done, starting from the first player, you're going to start to take the resources or the actions in which you've deployed. So, for example, this white player could take 1, 2, even 3 of this resource from the supply and add it to their pool, like so. But if you ever go on one of these tribe cards, because you've got 2 different types of cards in the center, you've got the goods and you've got the tribes, and you can afford to pay for the criteria here. So say, for example, I could pay 2 of this resource, 1 of that resource to the bank, and I could take that card and put it on my tableau. So throughout the game, you're going to start with nothing, but you're going to have the potential to build 3 rows of 4 cards, and you're going to have to start from left to right. And as you can see, you've got lots of different types here on what they can do. You've got these kind of these camp cards, you've got these oases cards, you've got these camel riders, you've got these like pools, and not only do they give you a number of points, so you've got this symbol here which means that they're going to give you that many points at the end of the game, but some of them will give you ongoing benefits or end game scoring criteria. So, for example, when I bought this card earlier, this one says from now on I could pay 1 fewer of any goods required to add camel riders to your supply. So whenever after I bought this card, every other card would cost me 1 fewer if it had this camel rider symbol on them. But some of them will give you points at the end of the game, depending on a number of things. And some will just give you pure points like this, for example. So this would give me 3 points. Any cards taken will be replaced by the opposite type of card. So as I said, you've got the tribe cards and you've got the good cards, and they will remain face down until the next round starts, and they'll be flipped over. So you've got a new grid state to play with. And that's going to be basically how the game is going to play out. Of course, everyone's going to resolve their actions, and the order in which you do those actions is also going to be important, because you may need some resources to buy other cards that you've already got these markers on. Okay, so that's going to be how the game is going to play out. Of course, I said the game is going to end once somebody has built their full tableau of 12 cards, or when the marker here travels all the way around the board and gets back to the top tile here. Now, something I should mention as well is that whenever this marker goes to one of these raid spots, you're going to have to discard a good or even a couple of goods, or then 3 goods. or a gold. And once you do that, or you're going to have to do that, or you're going to have to sacrifice a number of points. So you've got a bit of a tension there that you need to satisfy or suffer a penalty. So let's take a look at what some of these different cards do. So you've got the Noble tile here, which means that you can place the card in your hand, because at any point in the game, if you can't afford the resources to buy one of these tribe cards, you can keep it in your hand ready to buy later. But if you want to buy it later, then you're going to have to visit that Noble tile. You just got the straight up goods. You've got the trader here, which means you can exchange goods for gold or 2 types of goods for one other good. So it gives you a bit of flexibility. You've got this Fata Morgana card here, which means you can move one of your tribe markers from a card in the center area to another unoccupied spot. So if you've got on this spot here, you've got a lot of freedom to move this marker around onto a particular card that you want, and you're not subject to that grid reference. You've got the Silversmith here, which means that you can start trading in goods or coins to get victory points. And something I should say about these cards as well is that they are double-sided, so if you don't want the text, you can always use the symbology on the reverse side, which I actually think is a bit better. You've got the Caravan card here, which lets you draw the top goods card from the draw pile and take it, and whatever's depicted on it, you get gold or victory points. And you've got the Tribal Expansion card, which means you turn over the top tribe card from the draw pile, and you may display it if you can pay for the cost. So it gives you a bit of a lucky dip there in order to add more to your tableau. So that's going to be how the game is going to play out. Of course, the player at the end of the game with the most victory points is going to be the winner. Not only are you going to get victory points based on the cards, but also on different things on your tableau. So if you ever have 4 different symbols on a row, you're going to get 2 victory points, or if you have 4 of the same on a row, then you're going to get an additional 4 victory points. Okay, so let's talk about how I feel about Targi. So first off, worker placement games don't normally work the best at 2 players because they're normally too open and they're not kind of restricted enough and make people can really do their own thing and not have to step on each other's toes. Now Targi completely takes that out of the equation. This is a really tight game and your options are really squeezed as the game develops, as more of these workers are placed down. Of course, you cannot share a grid reference with another player and you can't go opposite them either. And as more workers are placed down, that does leave you with very few options which you can take, which some people might like. I personally had a bit of a problem with it because I felt that the choice was taken out of your hands a bit too much. Now, I understand that people will kind of fight the corner of this game saying that, that's why you need to prioritize your actions. However, I do feel like, while of course you need to prioritize things, I do feel like you need to have a plan B or a plan C, whereas this one, that is kind of taken out of your hands. So I do think the game is a little bit too tight and a bit too restrictive for me. Now, for some reason, it just didn't sit right and it didn't feel satisfying for me when I had so few options by the time I placed my 3rd worker. Now, additionally, I tend to really struggle, or something I've noticed recently, is that I tend to struggle with games that offer you small gains. So, for example, this one, you do quite a bit of work in order to acquire these resources and to spend them on these tribe cards, which are often quite expensive, only to get 2 points, or of course, if you fulfill the additional criteria, you can get another couple of points. But I would have liked it a bit more if these points were a bit more seductive, just offering you big chunks of points rather than just a couple, because I find that you do a lot of work for a very few points in this game. And again, something it's probably more of a personal taste thing. I don't know if it's a psychological thing, but it just didn't. I just didn't find it very satisfying in terms of how you actually gained your points in the first place. Also, the tableau building I thought was pretty uninteresting. Not only because the different abilities you can get are pretty boring, to be honest. Things such as when you buy cards, you have to pay 1 fewer resource, or when you gain or when you take a certain good, you get an extra good. That kind of thing. It's all been done a million times, and there's nothing on here that I found particularly interesting or kind of game breaking, or that incentive wasn't there for me to really go for it. So yeah, these are all just kind of variations on each other and offer you different ways of getting discounts and things, which I just thought was pretty bland. And additionally, the idea of having to collect all the same types of cards in order to get a few more points at the end of the game was just, again, not very satisfying for me. So as you can probably tell, this one is kind of going a bit down a rabbit hole, which is leading towards a game that I didn't enjoy. And I have to say that is true. I don't know why This one just didn't connect with me. I didn't find it fun. I didn't find it satisfying, and I found it a bit of a chore as the game went on. Now, mechanically, the game works perfectly fine. There is nothing I can complain about how the game works and how it operates. Everything does work perfectly fine. It's more of a personal taste thing, and I can't criticise the actual design of the game. I just didn't happen to find it fun. So, take it into consideration that this is a personal thing, that the game just didn't connect with me and didn't excite me. So I do like the mechanisms. I do like the way this grid system works. I would have liked to have seen it being on a bigger grid, maybe being an extra card or two wide and longer, so that your options just, you still have to prioritize things, but at least you've got a backup plan should you need to go a different route and somebody blocks you off. Because a lot of the times as well, people will see that you want a particular type of card, and of course they'll just place one there just to stop you having it. And again, I know people would appreciate that and like that level of player interaction, and that almost, not take that-ish, but that taking things for spite might appeal to you. Whereas me, I just found it a bit tedious and a bit demoralising, to be honest. Time investment, the game does probably take around 45 minutes to play, maybe up to an hour, and I think that's a little bit too long. In fact, I would have liked to have seen it half of that. And perhaps that's another reason why it didn't quite satisfy me. I thought it dragged on way too long. And by the time I was, even a quarter of the way or a third of the way through the game, I was well and truly bored. I found that I had achieved very little by the time it got to that space. And I had to wait a number of turns before the marker got round to the end game trigger. So yeah, a bit too long for me. And the choices within that time frame just weren't good enough. The replayability is okay. I mean, there are a ton of different cards here. You can see this huge deck of tribe cards. There's a bunch there. But I kind of revert back to my comments about all the cards feeling a bit too similar to one another. They are just variations, saying whenever you buy one of these cards, get a discount. This one, then there's another card that's exactly the same but with a different type of card. So there isn't a big scope in terms of what these cards do differently, and I would have liked to have seen more creative options and more creative cards be put into the deck. Player interaction reverts back to that thing about prioritizing things, blocking people off from the spots that they obviously want. And if you do enjoy that type of thing, then you cannot avoid your opponent being in the game, and you are going to stand in each other's way. You're going to block each other off, either deliberately or inadvertently. And so it's certainly not a multiplayer solitaire style game. If you want player interaction, then this game is going to have plenty of it. However, it's not the type of interaction that I tend to enjoy. Aesthetically, the game looks fine. I suppose it's pretty boring on the face of it, and I'm not a massive sucker for artwork and stuff, but all the production is fine. The cards are more than adequate in terms of their quality, and the symbology is generally pretty good. I do like the fact that the border cards here are double-sided, so if you do want symbology or if you do want the text, then you can pick and choose which you want. So yeah, that's a welcome addition, and I think that should be used more often. But yeah, absolutely fine in terms of the resources and the player pieces, so no complaints whatsoever in terms of the production, other than the artwork could have been a bit more interesting. So unfortunately, Targi isn't a game I can recommend. I'm a bit disappointed about it, to be honest, because I know Targi is widely renowned as one of the best two-player games ever designed. I was really excited to play this one because I thought that many people can't be wrong. And I'm not saying they are wrong, it just wasn't a game that's for me. I didn't find it fun, I didn't find it interesting. I found it work, I found it a bit of a slog and a bit of a bit tedious, just grinding these resources and buying these relatively uninteresting cards just for a few points. So I understand this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion, but I have to be honest, and I have to be true to my own taste, and I can't recommend something that I personally don't enjoy. So while mechanically the game's sound, and I would love to see this mechanism used in a bigger, more grandiose game that can potentially accommodate more players. Again, yeah, it works well, but it just wasn't for me, and I didn't find it fun, and certainly isn't a game that I'm going to want to explore any further. So sadly, a big miss for me. That is Targi. If you have enjoyed the review, please hit like and subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos too. For everyone else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye.